Good morning. Thank you for attending this short educational session on type 2 diabetes mellitus, DM in short. The word diabetes may sound scary. However, well-managed diabetes has good health outcomes, just like any other condition. By attending this educational session, you have already started making a positive change to your health. Well done. Take a moment to congratulate the person sitting next to you. This introductory session is to provide you with an overview of the pathophysiology and etiology of diabetes. This simply means understanding how the body uses glucose or sugar in a person without diabetes and what happens in a person with diabetes. We will also look at the roles of the two hormones most important in regulating glucose, namely insulin and glucagon, and briefly discuss risk factors. Then we will look at the cause of type 2 diabetes. Finally, we will briefly discuss the symptoms, including management and complications. What is diabetes? What comes to your mind when you think about diabetes? Is it diet, high blood glucose levels, BGL in short, injecting or pricking yourself, etc.? Take a second to share your thoughts with your neighbor. Diabetes is a chronic condition that affects how our bodies process sugar or glucose. It is a complex condition where the body's inability to make or use insulin properly results in elevated blood glucose levels. We require insulin to transport glucose from the blood into the cells where it is required for energy. Now, let us start by looking at the pathophysiology of a person without diabetes. Normally, most of the food we eat turns into glucose. This is the body's preferred energy source. The body breaks down carbohydrates into simple sugars or glucose, fats into fatty acids, and protein into amino acids so that the intestinal wall can easily absorb these into the bloodstream. It is the carbohydrates that increase the BGL because they are converted into sugar or glucose. This is known as hyperglycemia. The rise in blood glucose levels stimulates the pancreas to release insulin. Insulin is a hormone produced by the beta cells of the pancreas. We can imagine insulin as a key that unlocks the cell door to allow glucose into the cell to be used as energy. Without the insulin, the body cannot use the available glucose. The insulin facilitates uptake of glucose by different body cells such as the muscle, brain, heart, etc., and the excess is stored in the liver. The process normalizes blood glucose levels. Insulin is therefore the optimal key to glucose utilization by the body. Insulin and glucagon, the siblings. As previously indicated, apart from regulating BGL, insulin also promotes excess glucose storage in the liver as glycogen. This is an inactivated form of glucose. I always think of insulin and glucagon as siblings who are always in a tug of war. Glucagon is a hormone produced by the alpha cells of the pancreas in response to low glucose levels, known as hypoglycemia. When BGL starts to drop in between meals, our big brother glucagon stimulates the liver to convert glycogen into glucose for energy. When the glucose is depleted, for example, during fasting or a long period of exercise, the liver converts non-carbohydrates such as the fats and amino acids into glucose. This process prevents BGLs from dropping too low. Therefore, the beta and alpha cells of the pancreas simultaneously regulate BGL throughout the day in a seesaw-like fashion. Insulin and glucagon interaction, an overview of what we have learned so far. When blood glucose levels rise, the pancreas releases insulin. In response to insulin, target cells take up glucose and the liver converts excess glucose to glycogen. Blood glucose levels will fall. The pancreas will then release glucagon. In response to glucagon, the liver breaks down glycogen and releases glucose into the blood, and the blood sugar levels will rise again. What is important here is for you to remember that glucagon increases blood sugars, whilst insulin decreases the blood sugars. We will now discuss the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes, starvation in the face of plenty. In an individual who has type 2 DM, a dysfunction exists within the cells that are normally sensitive to insulin, such as the liver, skeletal muscle, and adipose tissue. In type 2 DM, BGL builds up because cells are unable to use insulin well, a condition known as insulin resistance. the key to the cell door does not fit, or insufficient insulin is made, resulting in some cells not getting enough glucose, or the liver releases too much glucose. This makes the glucose stay in the blood, causing PGL to rise above your target range. Since insulin is not able to do its job properly, your blood glucose levels continue to rise, but the body feels as if it is starving because the cells are not receiving the energy they require to function. Hence the term starvation in the face of plenty. In an attempt to save the situation, our, our big brother glucagon responds by stimulating the liver to produce more glucose, leading into a vicious cycle. Points to remember: insulin resistance is the leading cause of type 2 diabetes. Chronic elevation of BGL, if not treated, can lead to serious damage to the body. Risk factors. Obesity is the main risk factor for developing type 2 DM. Literature demonstrates the link between obesity, insulin resistance, and pancreatic beta cell dysfunction. An important fact to note, though, is that not everyone who is obese has diabetes, and many people with normal weight have type 2 DM. It's not a clear cut, it is how it affects you as an individual. Below is a table showing several risk factors. I want us to focus on the modifiable list in the middle because we have a degree of control over these factors. In diabetes, this is referred to as self-care. You can choose to either start by losing an extra kilo. If you are a smoker, stop smoking or decide to increase physical activity. It doesn't have to be the whole list at once. It is important, however, to start somewhere. No matter how small the effort you make, the results will greatly enhance your quality of life. Choose what is best for you, and we will respect and support your choice. Symptoms of type 2 diabetes. People may say, I can't have diabetes because I have got no symptoms. The truth is, many people with type 2 DM have no symptoms. You can have diabetes for many, many years and still have no symptoms. Untreated diabetes, however, can cause irreversible damage to your body. You may already have some of these symptoms, which will resolve with appropriate management. Bacteria just loves sugar. Elevated BGL makes it easier for bacteria to grow, causing recurrent infections. Wound healing is impaired because of oxygen reduction to the wound site. You may feel hungry and fatigued all the time. This is because the cells are starving. They are not able to access glucose for energy. Kidneys work harder to excrete excess fluid and sugar, leading to kidney dysfunction. Where sugar goes, water follows, resulting in you feeling thirsty, drinking more, and then peeing more. High blood glucose causes the lens of the eye to swell, resulting in blurred vision. Management. Lifestyle modification is the cornerstone. Eating well will help you manage your blood glucose levels and your body weight, thus reducing insulin resistance. Stress management and 30 minutes of moderate combined aerobic and resistance exercise will help your insulin to work more effectively, lowers your blood pressure, and reduces the risk of heart disease. Regular testing of BGL, BP, and lipids, these are just blood fats, helps in designing treatment regimens specific to your needs. In the long run, you may require oral medication and/or insulin. We will help you choose the best treatment regimen specific to your individual needs. Complications. If you decide to ignore your diabetes, it will lead to irreversible complications as demonstrated in this diagram. The good news, however, is that you are in control and can prevent this happening to you. Conclusion and take home. Now that you understand how your body uses insulin and glucagon to regulate blood glucose levels in your body, it is very important to ensure optimal management of your BGL. See your GP or credentialed diabetes educator for an individualized plan for you. Know your modifiable risk factors and decide to take action now. Remember, lifestyle changes are the most effective treatment for type 2 DM. Commencing medication and/or insulin is not a sign of failure because type 2 diabetes is a progressive disease. It just means that it has progressed to the next stage. With a proper management plan, you can live a normal, happy, and fulfilling life with reduced risk of complications. Finally, If you change nothing, nothing will change. Always remember that. Any questions? Thank you. This is the end of our educational session.